I feel like it's been hijacked as well, because
Uh-huh.
there
Yeah.
is another kind of hyper grace movement who's saying, "Hey, take of communion every day. Partake of the body every day, and your body will be healthy, and you will see financial breakthrough." And it's kind of been hijacked also in a way.
Yes.
And I've heard people actually come up to me and say, "Hey, you got to do communion every day because then your body's going to be healthy. You're going to stay young for a long time, and you're going to see financial breakthrough and all this stuff." Um, I don't know if have you run into that as well, by any chance?
Welcome to the Revo Report. We're inspiring faith with reason and reason with faith.
I have encountered that
Okay.
not a lot, but
Okay.
we're all in different corners of the Christian world, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can see how that could happen
Mm.
because just as the prosperity gospel distorts so many things, uh, it can turn something like the Lord's Supper into, instead of a place where Jesus meets us and we are able to sit face to face with him, physically, experiencing his presence. Uh, a prosperity gospel could turn it into like a talisman where you use it almost like a
Yeah.
good luck.
Hmm.
And with that, I think it is, you are handling profoundly holy things in a way that God did not intend. And that's a very fearful place to be, I would say. So, yeah, definitely
Yeah.
would discourage that kind of, good luck charm approach to any of this because we're meeting God on his terms. We're not
Yes.
using God for our terms.
Mm. Yes, exactly. Exactly. I'd like to know, we talk about culture, we talk about your walk. I'd like to also um, talk about, maybe how your marriage has been impacted by,
Yeah.
your understanding of God, your understanding of church history, and how, that is developed, because we know that the enemy will also attack us, but he'll attack our primary relationship first, right? Our primary ministry first. How has, your walk with God, your understanding of church history and some of these writings impacted, your marriage?
Yeah. Wow. Um, I think I had not been married even a week before I had this profound feeling that I had no idea what I was doing. Like I had read
You
books
and I
about
both.
how to, yes, I'd read books about how to be married, how to be a husband, and all that sort of thing. But then a weekend, I was just like, I was driven to my knees in prayer in ways that I had never experienced before because I just had this feeling of I've gotten into something that is very profound and holy and beautiful and something that I do not have the resources in myself to do this well, if that makes
Mm,
sense.
yeah.
And that, I think, more than anything, is what drove me to pick up a prayer book instead of trying to just formulate my own prayers. That's
Wow.
when I started. That was like a week into marriage. I had had a book of common prayer, but I'd never used it. And it was about a
Hmm.
week into marriage, I started saying, okay, Lord, help me know better how
Hmm.
to, not only how to pray, but
Hmm.
also I want to do this consistently. And there are
Hmm.
patterns within the Book of Common Prayer that you can adopt. And like I was saying, every morning, every evening, no matter how the day goes, you know that you're going to be before the Lord praying these specific prayers and lifting up praise in a particular way that's informed by the wisdom of Christians in every century before you.
Hmm.
So that was one thing. Now, at the time, my wife and I were attending a non denominational church, a really beautiful church that I love very much. Um, and we were both very deliberate in being an active member of that church,
Hmm.
both my wife
Hmm.
and I. And and yet, it was interesting because it was about 6 months into marriage, or maybe a little bit more, that we heard about an Anglican church that was being planted in our city in Richmond, and and we both felt very quickly that this was something God wanted us to pay attention to, even though
Hmm.
at the same time we loved our current church very, very much. So it was this
Okay.
tension
Hmm.
of feeling. like we want to stay where we are, and yet God is drawing us somewhere else.
Wow.
And so we were discerning that together. It wasn't just, me or my wife figuring this out on our own and then later demanding that we do a particular thing. So I was so glad that, the Lord had us discern that change together. And he also had us take that question to our pastors. So we went to our pastors at our non-denominational church and we said, hey, we love this church, but we think God may be calling us not only to leave, but to go help plant a church in a different denomination. And we kind of braced ourselves because we weren't quite sure how they would respond to that. But they very gently and graciously prayed with us and over time discerned with us. And they ended up saying, yes, actually, we think this is the Lord at work. And they commissioned us to go, and it never felt like we changed denominations or churches. It felt like we got sent missionally from one place to the other.
Wow.
That whole process of discernment, of learning to grow in prayer, and then of helping a brand new church get started from the ground up, all of that has been so beneficial to our marriage because by seeking the Lord together and working together, it has given us both this proactive, kingdom-minded mission that has really become part of the heart of our marriage. Like, I don't know where we would be without this calling that God has given both of us to be involved in the church. I've since gotten ordained in this little church plant, and been ordained in the Anglican church, and now I'm a deacon in this church plant. And Bethany's really involved as well. And together it just gives us so much joy. And also it just helps us to be rooted. As we read scripture, or as anyone reads scripture, God intends for us to have a specific place and a specific people where we're applying what he's teaching us. And yet I think in our current day and time, because we spend so much time online, it can seem like there's so many options available to us that it would be foolish to set down roots in any specific place. But I would just say, wow, by setting down roots in a specific place and committing to a particular congregation in a particular denomination, that's where God has really strengthened us and bound me and my wife together in ways I just don't know how he could have otherwise, because that's where God intends us to be, is in areas of commitment in our life. So by committing to the church, our commitment to each other has been blessed immensely. So that was a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great.